Hi, this is Kurtis from the Epic Marvel Podcast, and I am here continuing my video series on how to make your own ALF Epic collections. Now, in reality, this is just, a how-to video on how to make your own custom-bound comic collection. And you can apply it any way you want, but this is how I'm doing it. I'm modeling it after the Epic collections. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a table of contents. Okay, so two things. First of all, I'm assuming that you all have a rudimentary knowledge of Photoshop, so I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritties on how to use that. You'll have to Google your own YouTube tutorials for that. And second, this is going to be an extremely boring video because it is literally just watching me use Photoshop. So, feel free to skip over this one or go to the next video or whatever. You don't have to watch this whole thing. Here we are looking at Photoshop. Now what you see here is the table of contents from one of the Epic collections. This is the credit page and the contents. I pulled this off of Amazon. The Kindle preview has these pages and you can save those images. So what we're gonna do is basically just lay over top of this the stuff that we're going to make for our Epic collection. It's gonna be kind of hopefully as easy as that. Now, the first thing you wanna note is that this is an RGB color profile, and to print this out, it's going to be better if we have this in CMYK, and we also want to up it to a good print quality like 300 dpi. So change the mode to CMYK, then we go to image size, and we're going to change this, and look at this resolution is 1. We're going to bump that up to 300. We don't need this to be 1000 inches. You're going to want to measure your comic book to make sure that it's the right size. So I know that my height is going to be about 10.25. The width is 16.5 doubled. It's automatically resizing here, so that's okay. But my resolution needs to be up to 300. Let's say okay to that. Whoa, it looks really big, but that's okay. Let's bring it back down small. Now we're going to change the canvas size because we actually need this to be a little bit bigger on the outer edge because we're going to get some bleed, so we have some room to trim. So we can see that this is what we had before. So let's bump this up to give us, let's say, an inch all around. So we're going to make the width 34 and we're going to make the height 26. So that's 1 inch on either side. This will stay positioned in the middle. And there we go. Now we have an outer edge that we can use for our bleed. Now let's lay some fonts over top of this. I scoured the internet and tried to come up with a font that was as close to this Epic collection font as I could find. And without really knowing exactly what it is, we're just going to have to guess. So let's just write here ALF. And the actual font that I'm using is called Plaquette Serial DB. I'll change the color to white to match this. Let's just bump that up. We'll position it there and we'll see how small we need to get it so that it's the same size. Okay, that's a little smaller. Let's say 56. Now we also want to stretch it out so that it matches. And since we have an F in Defenders, let's just match that. Let's highlight this again. Stretch, stretch, stretch. There's also different spacing in between the letters. So we want to make sure that we have a good amount of space there too. Just eyeballing it, it's not going to be perfect. And there's also a drop shadow, as you can see here. So we can double click on here. And let's see, we're going to add a drop shadow. The angle is on the other side there. Bring back the distance. Bring back the size. Bump up the opacity. The shadow is going to be pitch black. That looks pretty good. What do you think? That's not bad. Okay, so we already have the effects down, so let's just copy this layer, duplicate the layer, And we'll bring the duplicate over to the other side here. And we have our, this is where we're going to put our title. Now, we're going to call the title Mail Mac to the Future. The only problem with this font is I don't like the way the M's look. They don't look like Epic Collection M's. The rest of them are good enough. So I'm going to have to change this M. I'm going to change it to Impact. It's much bigger, you can see that, so I have to make it skinnier to match up with the approximate size of the other ones, and I'm also going to make it smaller. It's like, was that 50? Let's say 52. Great. I can copy that M and then replace this one. And they look a little too big still, so let's go back down to 51. I also don't like how much space is in between. This font gives really, really big spaces. See how small that is? So let's scale that back as well. Let's say to 100. Okay, so there we go. The purple line means that it's on the level with the other text that's on here, which is good. So I'll just kind of bump that up to the very end there. Now we can see that we have some black lines here. So let's get our line tool. The black color. Let's see, we're not going to have a stroke on this. It's going to be filled. How thick is this going to be? 5 pixels? I don't know if that's going to be big enough. Let's have a look. Hold down the Shift key, you'll get a straight line. Not thick enough, so we'll pull this down to make it as thick as we need it to be. Yeah, that's okay. Now you see I've made it go right to the edge because this is the bleed, so we're going to be able to trim some of that off. So let's just copy this line and then move it over here. And then use the transform button to stretch it all the way across. There. Okay, we'll make one more duplicate layer so that we can bring that way over to the other side here. Okay, good enough. Again, it's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. Actually, we want this line. We got to stretch it out a little bit more here because the ALF sign goes way over here. And this side over here has to come right up to the Mail Mac to the Future sign. Okay. Now we're going to create a box to go under here. This is the trade dress color for Defenders, this kind of greeny bluey, but I've chosen sort of an orangey brown color for ALF. So what I'm going to do is select the rectangle tool, and there's my color right there. Let's draw a triangle or a rectangle to go over top of here. There it is. Now let's position our. There we go. Again, the bleed goes all the way to the edge. We're going to want to have that bleed there. And now we want another orange box to go over top of the bottom here. There we go. Simple so far, right? Not too bad. Okay, now we're going to get to fill in our credits here. Now this font, I'm just going to use Calibri. I think it's kind of the closest here. But let's zoom in on a little bit of this top here. Okay. Calibri. Let's shrink this so it's nice and small, just like this one. That's pretty close there, hey? Look at that. Probably this line spacing just needs to be brought in just a little bit. Okay, let's go into the next line. The writer for all of these ALF comics is Michael Gallagher. So we're going to make this a lot bigger. We're also going to change this to bold. Again, it's not exactly the same because you can see this M is a little bit different there, but it's close enough. So it's a little bit smaller than this. Bring the words closer together. Raise it up just a little bit. Not bad at all. I'll check to see if there are more writers to go alongside this one. Penciler is Dave Manick. So what did I say this was? This is 21 points, so let's bring this down to 21. And basically that's what you're going to do. You're going to just continue to do that, match the fonts and the sizes with all of your inkers and colorists and editors and whatever, and then same with this, match up all of the different fonts. So this size here is metallic for the issue number. The date is regular, but it's a little smaller. And then these look like they're bold. We're just going to continue to go down the list until you get all of your stuff in place. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now, and you can pause the video when you catch up and then come back here after you're finished with that. So I've added my main categories. You can see here and added one of my episodes, but I can't really see what I'm doing anymore because these words are getting in my way. So let's just make a black box that's going to go in the background, and we'll move that down the layers here so it's behind the orange stripes. And there's our basic layout. So now we just have to finish writing in our episode titles. So I'm just going to speed things up here a little bit. Okay, here we are. Looks like we're going to need to adjust some of our formatting here because these lines are not going to line up anyway. Let's get rid of this black box so we can see what's underneath. And I will take this and line it up with, yep, that looks about right. Okay, so we're going to also need to make a couple more lines here, and the lines are going to be the same color as the orangey brown box. We're going to make one line here, and we'll stretch it all the way across. Again, hold down shift and you get a straight line all the way to the very edge. I'm going to make another one right down here, and we're going to make one in the middle. Now we can bring our black box back. And now we have the ability to see where our lines are going over. So these are just going to have to come down a little bit. Some of these I'm going to cheat a little bit and just squeeze them slightly, because it's not worth dropping them down to the next line. Needs to come down to the next line. Maybe we can even it out a little bit more and take this one. Okay, that's a little better. Still not too satisfied. These look a lot fatter, I think. So still not satisfied with how fat this is. So I think all of this needs to be a little wider. That looks better, which means we now have to adjust these M's again, right? And I made these ones way shorter. Let's stick with 100 for the spaces. Great, now this needs to move over. So let's move that over, which means also this line has to be shorter. There's our epic collection. How does it look? ALF doesn't have a very big credit list because it's really just one team of people that do pretty much every single issue throughout the entire series, which is pretty remarkable. So we have a bunch of blank space down here. So I think what I'm going to do is take away one of my lines here, and I'm just going to put the big ALF logo here because I think that's going to look kind of cool. So here is my ALF logo. This I just found online. If you Google ALF and try to find a high-res version, you should be able to find that no problem. And there we go. Down here is usually a whole bunch of legal information, but I'm not going to put that there. You can put it if you want. Do what you want with this. Make it your own. Be creative. These M's are still not quite skinny enough. There we go, 128. This is 201, so I want to make this one bigger as well. Let's call that complete. There's your table of contents, everybody. Great, now that we've finished that, don't go running off to the printer quite yet, because we're going to do something on the flip side. Next video, I'm going to be talking about how to make a nice title page. So I hope you come back for that. Stay tuned for more do-it-yourself ALF Epic Collection videos coming soon.